Greetings to my fellow peace blunders and welcome to my new video where I'm going to look at another real position I've had recently and give you some real proper practical advice related to this position. And if you just so happen to find this video useful, please like and subscribe, it helps me out massively, love you. So in this miniature we see the product of a beautiful opening called the King's Gambit. It's one of my all-time favorite openings and it just gives you so much flair and fireworks in one game, and it's all for the cost of one measly pawn. Anyway, so the position you're seeing right now with black to play is completely equal. Yes, black does have an extra f-pawn, but I have a great lead in development and a semi-open f-file to compensate for that. And here I would imagine that some of you guys would castle. And at first glance, it does make sense. You are a pawn up, so you want to put your king in a safe spot and play with extra material, trying to prove that it will be more than sufficient to win you the game. And yes, castling is very important, and in the vast majority of positions, you should castle rather than not castle, but it does not mean that you need to do it right away every time the first chance you get. My recommendation here is to first play the preventive a6, and let me explain why. First of all, I'd like to remember this little setup, which consists of a couple of elements. When you have a bishop on d6 supported by the c-pawn, the c-pawn isn't supported by anything else but the bishop. For example, the queen on d8 is missing. Such move as knight to b5 can be very annoying. Allow me to demonstrate. Castles, knight b5, double attacking the c-pawn and the bishop, and now you will be forced to concede the bishop for the knight and play against the bishop pair in a position that is quite open and clearly favoring bishop. If we just retreat the bishop to save it with bishop e7, we just hang the c-pawn and the a8 rook in the process as well. So black will just have to say screw it and play something developing like knight to c6, knight takes, pawn takes, and now not only the bishop is gone, but this pawn that the bishop was protecting is hanging, so I can capture as well. I've equalized the material and now enjoying a position where I have just a slight edge. So yeah, coming back, the situation was really calling for a6 preventing knight b5. As you can guess, my opponent did not play a6, but he didn't castle either. He played a move so daring and so ballsy, he ruptured the earth. c5. Now that move really surprised me. When white has a central pawn on d4, c5 is indeed, in many positions, a very good move, trying to undermine the center from the flank. And I assume this is what my opponent was hoping for, he just wanted to disrupt my center. But at the same time, how in this particular position is c5 disrupting my center when I can easily play d5? My d-pawn is now a passer, but it's not even the most attractive thing about it. My d-pawn is controlling c6 and e6, not allowing such natural moves as, for example, knight c6 or bishop e6. And in my opinion, a move like c5 is a result of a very common miscalculation. A lot of beginner to intermediate players, when they move their pawns and create some sort of tension between the pawns, they only tend to calculate captures. For example, perhaps my opponent was only calculating takes with check, and now king to h1, and we have an equal position. So when it comes to pawn tension, please calculate everything, all captures, all advances, all positions where the tension is remained. It's very important. And now my opponent castled, starting a losing sequence. Instead of castling, he should have still played a6, preventing knight b5, because guess what? Here comes knight b5. And this knight b5 situation is even worse than I showed you earlier, because now the bishop is not protected by the pawn on c7. You can still not lose too much material by playing rook d8, defending the bishop, and now knight takes, rook takes, and bishop takes pawn. The position is unpleasant, but you can swindle your way out of this, why not? However, here I think my opponent was just maybe a bit frustrated or just lost a bit of concentration, and that's fine. Again, it's a blitz game, so who cares? But it's just that the following move provided me with a very instructive example, and we have bishop e7 simply retreating. And yes, as you can probably guess, it hangs knight to c7, sentencing the a8 rook to a very miserable end. But it's not the point. The rook will of course be captured, but it's all a matter of when. Some players are just so thrilled by the mere prospect of capturing material, they will do it instantly the first chance they get. But in chess, a lot of the time, it's all about the timing. It's all about waiting to pounce just at the right moment. Bishop g4 is now played, and the question is, am I in a rush to capture that a8 rook? Is the rook going anywhere, or is my knight threatened? The answer is no to both, so I simply ignore the rook and I keep playing bishop takes f4. Now we have knight d7, and you think to yourself, okay, now the rook can escape, we've got to capture it. The rook train is about to leave the station, and here I'm going to make a second point about what we simply call tunnel vision. For a couple of moves now, we've been salivating at the opportunity to finally grab this rook on a8. Just like, strangle it. So it's fairly possible that most of our attention was focused on this little corner here, staring at the knight, staring at the rook, just willing to capture it. And I'm now going to say a very cliched thing which everyone hates, but it's the truth. I cannot do anything about it. I'm sorry. Do not play your moves instantly. There's always a chance that when there's a good move, there is even a better one. Is capturing the rook with a knight a good move? Yes. According to the engine, it gives us +3 advantage. But do you know what move in this position gives us a staggering +9? If you found it, well done, it's d6. And sure, the a8 rook can now leave. If it so wishes, I'm just going to capture the bishop and threaten the rook on f8 as well. And not only that, the f rook doesn't even have any safe squares. This is controlled by the pawn and this is controlled by the knight. Oh, and don't forget, the knight is defended by my f bishop. You can try saving the bishop, but then of course I will capture the rook. And if you capture on d6, I'm going to recapture with the bishop, threatening both rooks at the same time, and you cannot save both. So yeah, after I played d6, my opponent resigned. So guys, again, patience, not obsessing over material. Focusing on the entire board, not on just one section of it, will all make you tons of good. And lastly, just to show how much of an idiot I am and how my gameplay isn't obviously all wins, wins, and wins, here after c5, I don't have to play d5 like I did in the game. d5 is actually a blunder. I can play knight b5 with the same idea and again be winning. And it all in the end circles back to the importance of playing a6 in positions like these. Had this move ever happened, none of this would have been possible. And that is going to be it, my favorite unintentional gambiteers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as per usual, may all your chess moves on the board be exclam moves, and have an excellent day. Love you guys. See you in the next one.